So, hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to my second part of this series where we're gonna create a garden house, or I go over the workflow that I learned. And we're right now starting to use Substance Painter. As you can see, when you go into Substance Painter and you start a new project, you have different templates such as Blender, Dota 2, or I don't know, Unity and Unreal Engine 4 down here. I'm gonna stick to Blender for this video, but of course, whatever engine you use, I would preferably go with this one, since light and shaders are a bit different depending on each and every engine. For the resolution of the mesh or of the texture, I'm gonna go for a 2K texture. Should be more than enough, especially for a small house like this. Most of the time a 2K texture is also enough for for rather large buildings. So 2K most of the time is fine. So we're gonna hit OK, and within Substance Painter you will see you have the left the side here, basically the 3D version of the house, and you have your UV layout on the right side. You can move around, you can zoom in and out with the mouse wheel, or you can move around by pressing Alt or keeping Alt pressed and pressing the left mouse button, so you can maneuver around. And same for the other for the UV layout. Also, you can use Shift to go in 90-degree turns. So when you go into Substance Painter, you have your texture set list on the right side. Basically what this means is if you have multiple materials, for example, you have a material for the roof, you have a material for the walls, and you have them separated, they will all be shown here, or will be listed. Then you have your layers on the right side with all the different tools. And of course, you have the texture set settings, where you have the different channels such as base color, height, roughness, etc., etc. So what we do now with our low poly version in Substance Painter, we go on the baking option, basically in the texture set settings a bit down. There you have a button called Baking Mesh Mask. And here for the resolution, usually you would go with 8K, since you can always scale down in the end. Then what we're going to do is we're going to click on high resolution meshes, and we're going to select the high poly version of the house. You will see there will be cage, I guess, or the high poly version around it. And now what you can do is you can change the frontal and rear settings. Basically what this means is Substance Painter then looks what's inside of the rear and frontal distance, and whatever is inside there will be baked on the specific mesh. So for in front, I'm gonna go with something like this. Since we have some windows here, they will be standing out a bit, so I want to capture all of that here, maybe a bit more. And for the rear distance, I mean, we don't have that much looking inside, so I'm gonna go pretty low here. And then for below, you have basically the setting comparison, where you can change from always to mesh name or by mesh name. And basically what the setting does is it checks which suffix your meshes have, and basically looks if there are specific suffixes that match. Basically, this is the reason why we named one version of the house low poly or _low, and the other version _high. We bake. This most of the time takes multiple times, so I rarely baked once and it was perfect. So sometimes you have to flip normals because I don't know, the information is not really shown that good, or you just want different you just want a different look. And well, that's why normally you hang here a bit more than just once. But for this version, it looks like it went pretty well. You can see we have the information of the different windows here. Basically, what normal map baking does is it recreates the details on the facade, for example, by baking the behavior of the light onto the areas. So we go back to the painting area, painting mode, and as you can see now, we have windows here, we have a window here, we have a little doorway here, and we have a window here. So let's get started with painting. Usually I start with a folder and I add a black mask. Well, take a normal fill layer, put it below. I just set it on red so I can see what's in the mask and what's not. And now we come to the result why we used ID maps. Basically what we can do now is when you click on add effects, there is the point down here called color selection that we can add. And if you do that and you click down below here on the ID mask, you will see colors and you can pick a color. And then you have the ID map shown here. Basically everything that we did in Blender, every face that we assign to something will be shown in the ID map, which is really, really helpful for masking. And we just select the purple one, and as you can see, well, everything that was noted as a facade is now basically in the mesh map. So usually when you take a look at garden houses, they have wood planks. So what we can do is we create a new layer. We delete everything except the height. So alt height, you can like get rid of everything besides the height. And under black masks, you can then create a fill layer below it. And within the fill layer, you have then the options to basically add different information textures. I'm going to use the simple rectangle for this one. It's a Substance Painter default alpha that you can use. And here in the UV layout, what we're going to do is we're going to scale it down on this axis. So basically we only have the rectangle here. For example, if I would show it with the color, this is how it would look. And if we just make it really, really small, you will see that we have a lot of different rectangles here. And what we then do is we take the color out again and we set the height a bit up. So let's say around this. And as you can see, we then have height information here and it recreates the panels basically. Up next, what we can do is we copy paste the color here. We make it a little bit darker and then we create another black mask and we add a fill layer. And now when you add a grayscale or you add a fill layer, you just type in grunge, and Substance Painter has a lot of default grunge textures. And as you can see, we will have different color variations. You can change the light or the direction by the light by pressing Shift and holding right click, and then you can basically move it around. Next thing we do is we're gonna create some dirt. So basically now what we can do is we have two options. We can add a generator. And within the generator, for example, you can just select a dirt generator and it will generate dirt based on the edges and basically adds grunge on here. What we can also do is add a fill layer, and you can also add the generator as a fill layer. It doesn't make that much of a difference. It's just whatever you like more. I'm gonna keep it as a generator for now. And now let's say you have a lot of dirt, right? Or you basically don't want the dirt to be to show the dents here of the wood. So what you can do is on the right side you have the different channels here that you can choose from, and well, because we did these areas here, these planks with the height map, we can go also onto the height map channel. And in there, we select the dirt layer. And on the right, instead of adding it as a linear dodge, we basically place it as normal. So obviously, depending on what you want to have in front, you will have to rearrange different layers maybe. But let's say we want it like this, so that our dirt is basically the only thing that's shown there. Also, within the settings here, you have the possibility to, well, UV project your grunge map, basically meaning that you have a map in here. Or what you can also do is, for example, you use triplanar texturing, which basically means that there is a box around it that it bases it off. So let's talk about the windows. So about windows, let's do the frames first. We can just select the orange color, and let's say we want red frames. I don't know why, let's say we want red frames. So sometimes you have to change the tolerance. Same thing, what we do is we do it with the glass as well. So we take the blue. In the blue areas, we can put the tolerance a bit high because we only have blue once. For the yellow, we had orange on the roof, so it changed after some time. And well, something that you can do now is you can add a gradient. We rotate it by 90 degrees. We move it up a bit. And so next thing that you do, or you can do, is you change the emissive color. Basically what emissive is, it's a light. You can basically use it to recreate lightings, especially inside houses. What I'm doing is just redoing what we did before with the wood texture. And yeah, we add some dirt in there. It looks fine. And now we start painting the roof. So the roof most of the time is pretty similar to the base. Basically, we again create a color selection here. We select the top side here. So this is gonna be like the background, the black color here on the bottom. And now usually what works really, really good is the brick modifier. I know the offset, I'm going to change it like this so that you have basically a grid. And then you can also put in some slopes, maybe like this. We're going to go with a more grayish approach. For the, let's say you have certain bricks that you want or roof tiles that you want to have a different color for. So you can just use the same brick generator, change the color. And in the height settings, you can change 1 to 0. And then you can play with the height balance, basically, if you want more of the lighter or more of the darker bricks. Let's also give it a grunge texture again. And what you then, for example, can do is you can create a filter, and you can then, for example, say you want to blur your selection. Your grunge texture basically gets blurry. Let's say now I found out, okay, I want the roof to have a different color. Let's say here it is. Of course, what we can do is we can create a new black mask on the top, and we can then select the UV layers on the layout. Also here again on the height channel, we set this on normal so that we have a brand new area without the height of the bottom one. Again, we create a black mask, we create a fill area and a rectangle, and we use it to go to triplanar, and we change the height a bit. The reason we are using triplanar for this one, especially right now, is because the UV layers here are facing different directions. Well, most of the time then the rectangle here, for example, will be horizontal and here it will be vertical. So you just do it like this and there are no problems. And we just finish off with the door, add a black mask, and a fill layer. And in there you can then, for example, search for wood and put it in here. And you can increase it to a negative number, create another dirt modifier. Sorry, the dirt modifier just works really well, so that's the reason I'm using it that often. Okay. For example, this would be then our low poly garden house, textured in the end, without adding windows as a mesh to the object itself. And yeah, I hope you liked it. I hope you liked watching. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section. And that's gonna be it. Have a good time. I'll see you. Bye bye.